everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Contemplation, brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. I'm your host, Lucas, and I have COVID. This sucks. So that's why my video's late. I wanted to keep putting these videos out every day, so I'm going to do it. I know that if I was sick in my addiction, I would still go and get drugs, so therefore I can still work a recovery program. And then also doing this, I am not going to get anybody else sick. So that's the perspective. That's what we're rolling with. Hopefully my voice isn't too hoarse. It is February the 26th. I've got a great reflection today all about just self-acceptance and self-love and respect. So hopefully you can all relate with it. So I'm going to pop it up on the screen here and let's get into it. Accepting our authentic self. If you as an adult lived with someone who was as abusive to you as you are to your body, you would have the option of moving out. Your body has no such choice. Day after day, it suffers your remarks, your grimaces, and your endless attacks on its size and shape. Jane Hirschman and Carol Munter. As difficult as it is to live up to certain standards, whether set by mainstream culture or by the communities we've chosen to call our own, we may not be ready to question those standards. We may habitually condemn our age, size, shape, or appearance without challenging cultural ideals or our own negative self-image. Obsession with cultural judgments about how bodies should look can be a socially acceptable cover for other forms of self-rejection that we'd prefer to avoid acknowledging. Staying preoccupied with our failure to have perfect bodies can be an effective way to keep us from thinking our real thoughts and feeling our real desires. Letting go of negative self-judgments liberates energy and willingness to care lovingly for our bodies and our authentic selves. Today, I see my body's unique beauty and listen to its needs. I care for it as its most loving friend. This inspiration is from Glad Day, Daily Meditations for Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender People. So yeah, I like that reflection a lot. I think that's a beautiful one, and I don't think you have to be a member of that community to identify with it. I do, and I am. What stands out for me with this? I really did like when I found this. Body image. Yeah, even though like a drug addiction was the primary focus of my disease. On my other videos, I have talked about struggling with disordered eating. That's also a hand-me-down from the family too. I say that as opposed to eating disorder because it's not as full-fledged as I've come to learn and grow more as it is for some other folks, so I don't quite identify with that. But body image, how I look, how I present, it's amazing. That's a big thing for me, and that's a big self-conscious thing. And I think typically as men in this society, it's not nearly as much talked about and not nearly as much pressure as it is for female identifying folks. I can't imagine what that is like. And so having all these self-conscious feelings, I think I hid that a lot because it wasn't so normalized and talked about amongst men. And I had those feelings, so I just kept them a lot because I'm like, oh, that's not a normal thing. That's not a manly thing. And so like when I was young, before I discovered drug use, my intro with addiction was food, and I was a huge overeater and just binge ate and ate and ate and ate. Same with drug use, with the gym, with anything else, it was trying to fill the void, right? And so I didn't it's that vicious cycle. It's funny, it always makes me think of a fat bastard from the Austin Powers movies, where the line is like so true and it's sad and it's so true, where I ate because I was unhappy and I was unhappy because I ate. I really resonated with that one. So that was a thing that stood out for me a lot. And so then I remember that was what helped fill the void, good food. And then I started getting older, and like in high school, then all my friends were looking better and going on dates and having sex and being attractive and all that. And I was like the short, fat kid with big feet and frosted tips. Late 90s, early 2000s. Okay, we all did it. But I just remember that feeling so self-conscious and not liking how I felt and how I looked. And then also like in sports, how much I couldn't accomplish and do as other people. and just seeing all these pretty people walking around and comfortable with their bodies and in their own skin and who they were, or physically capable bodies. It was a really big one. And that was something that I definitely ate and then worked out crazily over and then ultimately used over a bunch. And in my addiction, that was a big thing that stood out as well, of just like feeling and being so unattractive because of the way that I lived. Like I was disgusting in addiction, very different person than who you see now. So obviously nobody would want to date me. I wouldn't want to date me. And so then I would sit in these gross like drug houses that I was living, using, stinking, and then using more, feeling bad about being in that position. And so be it with how I looked, how I felt physically, my sexual identity or orientation. That was another big one too, was just so much growing up internalized homophobia, where it took me until very later in recovery to even be able to honestly, comfortably look at these things and question and ask about myself. That was something else that I used over a lot too. It's so funny, and this seems so small, but I remember this so much. This vivid story. I was a kid. I went out shopping with my mom, and I found this big pink t-shirt, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And I brought it back and hung out with the family, and we're showing all the stuff we bought shopping. And I brought out this pink t-shirt, and one of the male family members saw it and immediately said, "Oh, that'll look great with your purse." And everyone else immediately starts laughing. And I never wore that shirt. I never wore it. I hung on to it, never wore it for years, and then I remember eventually throwing it out, and I was so heartbroken and so sad about that. And obviously, there are multiple things problematic with that story, not only homophobia, but absolute sexism and all of that other stuff. I was, 12, so wasn't overly aware of all these things at that time. And it was, again, late 90s, early 2000s, very different world than it is now, and also not in a lot of ways, which is really sad. But so I'd carried a lot of these internalized feelings, that homophobia, those feelings of being unattractive, that I used a ton over those. And my addict brain knew those scripts and knew how to build them and beat me down with them. And so they were really, really big for me as well. So I really liked this reading in these topics because it doesn't talk really about any form of addiction in any way, yet it is so specific. It is so directly connected to addiction for myself, and I'm assuming for a lot of others as well. So that was something that I really liked about this and what I wanted to share about it and stand out. So yeah, I really hope. So there we go. Yep, and I wrap that up. The last thing that I was just thinking, and I'm just going to say it and then move forward, is that I'm worried and scared about the kind of comments that this video is going to receive. If it is hate speech, I just want to let you know there's absolutely no space for it. I will have no tolerance and space for that, and I will not be the right person who's going to be able to help you. So I wish you the best of luck. But we're just going to move on from that because I want this to be the most positive and supportive environment that we can create for everybody, because our common thing here is addiction. So anyway, that's it. There's my little social justice rant, and we're going to move forward. So I really hope that some of you resonated with this at home too. Please share in the comments what stood out for you with any of this, with this topic. Like I said, I want to keep this as safe a space as possible. So share anything freely about how these positively resonate with you and what's going to be helping you in your recovery, because it could help somebody else. That's the whole point of this. Please check out the description And everything else in the video, I do private recovery coaching. So if you're resonating with this, please reach out to me and see how I can help. Lucas at spotlightrecovery.com. And the description's got other recovery coaching videos and ways that we can help and support you. Other resources down there. And then if you like this channel and what you're seeing, to support us, please. Donations, becoming a member, merch. It all really helps us out a lot. Okay? So thank you for joining us. I am going to go continue taking care of myself. And hopefully I feel better soon and I'm better for tomorrow's video. Have a blessed 24. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.